So what is up guys? Today we are going to talk about what the potential performance of the upcoming Apple Silicon Macs could be. We will specifically talk about those Macs which are going to come in this event, and if you don't know which Macs are going to come in this event, I've already made a video on it. I will leave a link to that video down there in the description so you can go and watch that video before you watch this one. But if you already know which Macs are going to come, no probes, you can watch directly this video. So without any further ado, let's begin. So the first Mac is going to be the MacBook Air. So when we got to see the benchmarks of the iPad Air 2020, which packed the vanilla A14 chip, it was insane. So the single core score, this is the Geekbench 5 score. The single core score was 1583 and the multi-core score was 4198. And if you think this score is less, then the single core score is highest among all the Macs. It even beats the Mac Pro and even the Intel i9 10900K. That's insane. Yeah, definitely does not beat it in multi-core score, but it beats it in single core score, and the multi-core score is also pretty good. The iPad Pro 2018, the iPad Air 2020, and the iPad Pro 2020 all beat the MacBook Pro 13-inch, the higher end version, which has the i5 10th gen in multi-core performance. So that's great. So the next Mac is going to be the MacBook Pro 13-inch, not the 14-inch. Those who were expecting a 14-inch, no, it's not going to be a 14-inch. It would get the refresh or the Apple Silicon chips first. It's going to be 13-inch. So for a reference, I'm showing you the Geekbench 5 score of the MacBook Pro. So this is the Geekbench 5 score for the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. The single core score is 1096, which is pathetic compared to the 2020 iPad Air, and it's a $600 machine. And I'm sorry to say that the multi-core score is 6871, which is a pretty good score and would be the sweet spot for the MacBook Pro 13-inch. And obviously, we all know that the single core score would be better than this, at least 1600 or 1700, which will be the Ryzen 5000 series of desktop processors. So the multi-core score would definitely be the sweet spot, as we all know that the 16-inch MacBook Pro is a darn powerful machine. You could do 4K video editing on it. Almost you could get done all of your tasks, but one problem is overheating. Yeah, it's still not resolved. In some cases, the MacBook Pro 16-inch does overheat, and the battery life is another issue which will definitely get improved with Apple Silicon. And I don't want to talk about that. So the single core score, sorry, the multi-core score of like the MacBook Pro 16-inch would be great for the MacBook Pro 13-inch. So this would be the sweet spot. So the next machine is non-redesigned 16-inch MacBook Pro. This could there's a chance that it would come, and there's also a chance that it will not come. According to Bloomberg, it has already hit production. So I'm assuming that it would probably come, or at least Apple will announce it, and probably we would get it in on December or January. I don't know. So the sweet spot for this would be the Ryzen 7 5600X, and I am not joking when I am saying this. See, the single core score, I think it could beat that single core score easily, and the multi-core score is the thing we should look at. So it's 10,054, which is a beast multi-core score, a very good multi-core score. So see, if you take like the MacBook Pro 16-inch, which has the Intel i9 9980HK, and we'll take the multi-core score as 7000. So if you even increase it, the multi-core score by 50%, the multi-core score would be better than the multi-core score of the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, which is a desktop processor and a beast processor. Uh, this processor is set out to rival the i9 10900K, which is the king of gaming CPUs, or at least was the king of gaming CPUs. So the sweet spot on the MacBook Pro 16-inch would be the multi-core score of a Ryzen 7 5800X, which is 10,054. It would be the best score according to me. So the next machine we'll talk about is a 24-inch iMac, and there's like only 20 to 15% chance that it will come, but we'll still discuss about it. So I think it should have the multi-core score of a Ryzen 9 5900X, which has a multi-core score of 12,930, which is a very good score and a good improvement according to me compared to the previous generation of Ryzen 5000 series. The Ryzen 3000 series. I don't know why we are talking about Ryzen CPU so much, but I just like talking about them. So the single core score, I think it would easily beat the single core score according to me, and this would be like the sweet spot for the multi-core score. So like if you increase, like for example, if we take the 16-inch MacBook Pro and increase the performance by 50%, which I think should happen, we will get a score of 15,000, and I don't think we should expect that because that would even beat the Ryzen 9 5950X. But even like if you take 30%, even 30% improvement over the performance of a MacBook Pro 16-inch would be the Ryzen 9 5900X, the like the new king of gaming CPUs. Not really, but yeah, one of the new kings of gaming CPU. I don't know again why I'm talking so much about the Ryzen 9 5900X and the whole Ryzen 5000 series. So this multi-core score would be great for the 24-inch iMac, the redesigned 24-inch iMac, and I'm personally expecting this score. So you could like take my scores that they would be like actually get become true, and I believe they should become true, or you should like you could only take this as like my opinion. And the next machine is the redesigned 28-inch iMac. Sorry, not a 28-inch, it will probably get 30-inch. So the redesigned 30-inch iMac or whatever you want. So it should match the processor performance of a Ryzen 9 5950X, which has a single core score of 1631 and a multi-core score of 1718. And this is a beast CPU, a total beast, a total heck of a CPU. It is the new king of the CPU, and AMD also showed us that how powerful it could be. I'm again talking too much about the AMD Ryzen 5000 series. I'm again sorry for that. From now on in this video, I will talk less about AMD Ryzen 5000 series because it's the last processor in this video. This is the last Ryzen 5000 series processor we will talk about in this video. Haha. So the single core score is 1631, which would easily get beaten according to me, and the multi-core score is 1400 718. So one thing is that as like according to me, like when the core count increases in the processor, the single core score most likely gets decreased. So probably the single core score could be low than of the Ryzen 9 5950X, or it could even get it could even be like better. So then the multi-core score is 14,718, which is insane. And if you take like this time, if you increase the performance by 50%, like compared to the MacBook Pro 16-inch. So if you take that same chip and give a 50% performance boost, it would easily beat the score of a Ryzen 9 5950X, and it would definitely be a sweet spot. And we all know what kind of CPU is a Ryzen 950 950X, and how much the multi-core score of 15,000 in Geekbench 5 could be. So the next machine is a redesigned iMac Pro, and this iMac Pro would pack Threadripper performance. I am not even kidding. Threadripper level performance. And I just want to say one thing. I actually mentioned the MacBook Pro 16-inch, the Apple Silicon one, so much in this video. People would kind of think that I have sort of obsession with them, but it's not true. I like all the Macs except the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro 13-inch and the iMac Pro and even the other iMacs. So we all know what kind of a processor AMD Ryzen Threadripper is, and probably they will also get a update, and they will also come into like they will also get a sort of refresh, and they would also become of the 5 AMD Ryzen 5000 series in a couple of months, I think, or it could even take more than a year. But now let's talk about the performance. So according to me, at the most the iMac Pro would provide us would be like the performance of AMD Ryzen 3970X. One thing is that the iMac Pro was always meant to give us performance of a Threadripper 3970X or 3950X or a 3960X. It was always meant to give us performance of this level. The only thing is that Intel chips were holding it back, but now it will not happen, and you would get beastly scores like no, don't look at the single core score, it's definitely disappointing, but a multi-core score of 22,701, that's insane. And 3970X is a 32 core and 64 threads beast processor. I like to say that 32 cores and 64 threads. It's actually pleases my ears. So it's a heck of a CPU, it's a heck of a score. And this would definitely be the sweet spot for like the highest spec'd out version of the iMac Pro, because iMac Pro is meant to be versatile according to me. And the final Apple Silicon device about which we will talk about is the Mac Pro. So the Mac Pro, like, I don't think the base version, but at least the mid, so not the base model, but at least the mid-range model should provide us with the performance of a AMD Ryzen Threadripper 3990X, which is according to me the god of CPUs, which actually like common people could buy. We also have AMD Epic, but it's not meant for common people and public use, it's meant for servers. This AMD Ryzen Threadripper is meant for like workstation class computers and desktops. So actually, like, this kind of performance was the performance which we should have been getting from the Mac Pro, but we are not getting this performance again due to Intel chips. And I think we should all be glad that we are going to say a big bye bye to Intel. So bye bye Intel. So this processor is a heck of a processor. This processor has a single core score of in Geekbench 5. It has a single core score of 1205, which I don't know about the single core score, because when the core count increases, the single core score usually decreases. So we'll only talk about a multi-core score, because a person who is buying a machine or a processor this expensive would definitely buy it for like multi-core score. So the multi-core score is 25,078, which is a very beastly score, almost double the performance of a AMD Ryzen 950 950X. And this processor has 64 cores and 128 thread. That again pleases my ears. So the Mac for the mid-range Mac Pro, this would be the sweet spot. and this would like be the best performance you should expect from a mid-range MacBook Pro, which will cost you about $10 to $12,000. So the next CPU is, and we again need to remember the Mac Pro is the the most versatile Apple like device. So the highest level of performance which you could expect from a $50,000 Mac Pro, like the peak performance you could expect from a Mac Pro is like the performance of a AMD Epic, and AMD Epic chip has double the performance, almost double the performance of a AMD Ryzen Threadripper 3990X. And this beast, like super beast, ultra beast CPU has 128 cores. I'm not even kidding, 128 cores. Probably if we combine the cores of 10 to 15 people, like we will take 10 to 15 CPUs and then combine all their cores, probably we will not even get close to the core count of this CPU. So it's insane, and the price is also insane. And the multi-core score is 46,777, and we should not look at the single core score because it's a server class CPU, and as I said, when the core count increases, usually the single core score decreases. That's a pattern I have seen in like desktop. So now we all know that Apple has overall planned a big explosion for us and Intel. So RIP Intel, and a moment of silence for those people who have bought high-end Intel processors for single core performance. That's enough silence, and RIP AMD Ryzen. So again, a moment of silence for those people who have bought AMD Ryzen CPUs for multi-core performance. So that's enough silence. So if you like this video, definitely go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this about Apple Silicon and other stuff, definitely go ahead and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.